This model from WSI comes in a cardboard outer carton, and inside the model is contained within a standard WSI branded box. The model is an MAN TGX tractor and a Nooteboom extendable trailer, and it's all in the colours of Ainscough, the UK's largest crane hire company. The box is factory sealed, but unfortunately the review model has sustained some damage in transport. There's a mirror that's come loose, and there's also another small part that's come loose from the tractor. So there's some unplanned assembly to do. The main parts in the box consist of the trailer, which is fully assembled and doesn't need any parts added to display it, and the MAN tractor unit. There's also a couple of bags of parts which give some configuration options, but there's no instructions with this particular model. It's a pity to have to start with some minor repairs, but in this case it's easy enough. The mirror just needs to be super glued back onto place over the cab door. And the piece with the airline seems to have just been not glued properly, so that's easily slotted into place on its holder, and then that can be super glued and that'll be as good as new. To assemble the vehicle in its base configuration is easy. You just offer up the kingpin on the trailer onto the fifth wheel on the tractor, it clicks into place, and if you wanted you could stretch out the airlines to meet the trailer. The detail on the MAN chassis is very convincing, with a good looking exhaust and gearbox, and there are different tyres on the front and rear axles. The wheels are nicely detailed and they're completely yellow. The decoration of the cab is really good and it accurately represents the Ainscough livery. It's good to see the STGO plate on the front, but the Nooteboom logo is probably a bit of artistic license. Details behind the cab are realistic, with coiled airlines and a fire extinguisher box. The Nooteboom trailer is a complex piece of modelling with many hoses around the axles at the rear. And up on top, the deck has some excellent graphics and some highly detailed replica timber surfacing. Along the trailer edges there are excellent tiny graphics and painted tie-down loops. The rear end was also highly detailed, but the quality of the graphics on the review model was disappointing. Driving the tractor on the test track is fine, it rolls pretty well in a straight line. And if you pick it up, there's no suspension or anything like that on the axles, but the steering at the front is better than the usual WSI steering, and you can set a reasonable steering angle on the tractor, so it looks pretty good post steering. The cab tilts forward fully to a good angle, and that reveals a detailed engine which is good to look at, and it even says MAN Common Rail in tiny writing. The other feature on the tractor is that the fifth wheel has variable positioning along the chassis. The Nooteboom trailer is a highly engineered part and it's got good working suspension on all the axles. It's controlled by pairs of small springs and it works really well. The other feature is that the rear two axles have linked steering, so you can set that, allowing the trailer to trace an accurate curve, and it makes for more interesting poses. The trailer has a couple of landing legs, and these are all metal parts, with the pads at the end able to pivot. You can lower them by unscrewing them, and the good thing is that you just see smooth pistons and not unsightly screw threads. With the pads lowered, the trailer will pose properly standing on its landing legs, and that gives another display option. Also at the rear of the trailer there are a couple of pull-down stabilizers. These would be used if the trailer was being end-loaded with a piece of plant, perhaps going up on some ramps onto the back of the trailer. Just under the gooseneck there are a couple of width markers which can just be pulled out if the trailer is carrying a wide load, and you can store the rear width markers there too. And if you want to fit the rear width markers, they just press into holes at the back of the trailer. The trailer is extendable, so you can carry some very long loads, and it just pulls out on a telescopic mechanism. There's also a sliding transverse beam which can be positioned anywhere along the spine, and closing the trailer up is as easy as opening it, you just push it together. One of the configuration options that's possible is to fit deck posts around the edge of the deck. The posts are metal and they just fit into preformed holes, and mostly they fit well, but you'll probably find a couple don't want to stand perfectly straight, so you just need to give them a straighten up before you put the model on display. Another option is to extend the width of the deck, and to do that you just pull out little plastic supports from the deck edges, and then you can lay on the little plastic timbers that span between the supports. They are different sizes, but they are numbered in numerical order, so that helps to fit them in the right sequence. Obviously, because these are small pieces that are just resting in place, you have to be a little bit careful how you lay them, because they're easily knocked out of place if you move the model. So you just need to be patient, but if you find yourself getting angry, just go and punch yourself on the nose and ask yourself, is it worth getting angry? Anyway, once all the timbers are fitted, the deck looks neatly widened. This is a very good model in Ainscough colours, and it looks particularly good if you put a suitable crane load on board. It's a highly detailed truck with very good features, and if you set aside the quality issues on the review model, then it's highly recommended.